So I've heard a lot of comments of like, you know, if you use a low sensitivity, how do you turn around? How do you do it? Like, my mouse just feels like it's stuck in place, and like, you know, you can't move it around. But, you know, obviously there's a lot of pros who use really low sensitivity, like Jaehong, Jonak is like the most notable ones. You know, and then we have people who don't use quite as high sensitivity as he does, but, or they do, I mean, but use really, really low sensitivity, like IDDQD, Carpe, Surefour, Logix, Zunba, Envy. Like, there's a ton of people who use really low sensitivity. It's not like, it's not the norm by any means, but, a lot of pros do use it, and I think that for a new player, it can be really useful to learn how to use, or for any player really, it can be really useful to learn how to use low sensitivity and just like take another view on the game, basically, of like how you can aim with lower sensitivity and what are the advantages of it. So one time I heard on Silkthread's stream, he said, lower sensitivity is better for tracking, whereas higher sensitivity is better for movement. And so, I'm gonna go up to about 20 centimeters per 360. This is about what, like, Soon, Sabiel B, Sinatra, like, ton of other Tracer players use, and just, you know, especially Genji players will use really, really high sensitivity, way higher than this even, but the sense, like, you can feel it's noticeably smaller movements to do. You can probably see, like, I'm probably getting pixel skipping, because the sensitivity is so high in-game. And, like, you can probably barely even see me moving the mouse right now. And that's just tiny movements that you do with the sensitivity. But like, the advantage of the sensitivity is when you're really close up, you can just stay on people really easily. And they won't leave your sight, basically. You know, you probably, if you're like me and you're not used to the sensitivity, you probably won't hit all your shots, but you'll at least be able to, like, see them the whole time. And you won't have to move the mouse a whole lot to do it. And the sensitivity is also really good for 360ing because or 180ing, because you can just do this. It's just like, wow, 180, like, it's 360, like, you can just move around so fast with the sensitivity. And that's what makes, like, higher sensitivity great for Genji, and Tracer even. I don't think, it's not really required for any hero really, but it's definitely, like, noticeably easier to play Genji with a higher sensitivity, at least. So I'm gonna go to a slightly lower sensitivity, like, I'd call this, like, a notch lower, I guess. It's like a tier lower of sensitivity, where this is like what Effect uses, ish. And the amount you move the mouse is a little, well, it's like a lot more, but you have to, like, aim. You can aim with your arm a lot easier on this sensitivity, whereas you basically need to use your wrist if you use a really high sensitivity, unless you're, like, just really, really good at the game and really good at aiming and really, really used to high sensitivity with your arm. It's like, you can do it, but it's not the easiest way to do it. So, good thing about this sensitivity is it's like a middle ground between You know, being able to move the mouse really fast and get the crosshair around really fast, and you can do 180s really easy. Big movements, really fast movements, like tracking fucking shit flying through the air all over. But it's not like you don't have to put as much pressure on your mouse hand when doing, you know, small movements. Because basically, like, the thing with higher sensitivity is that, like, you have to put a lot more pressure on your mouse hand, first off. So, like, it'll probably give you more hand problems. You know, probably. It's not written in stone or anything, but... and it'll also probably be less accurate because you have to move the mouse less, and you have less precision available to you to shoot at the enemies with. That's like the basic theory of like why you'd use a lower sensitivity. But this is like not the lowest anyone uses by a lot. This is a pretty average normal sensitivity. This is like 37 centimeters per 360. It's like, it's not really that low at all. It's a little bit lower than average, which I'm a nerd, so I compiled a spreadsheet of all the Overwatch Pro sensitivities, and it came out to 31.6 centimeters per 360. So the average sensitivity in Overwatch is actually like pretty high-ish, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Like where Counter-Strike's average sensitivity is like 48 centimeters per 360 for pros. And so I'm gonna go to about 48 centimeters per 360 now. This is like the average Counter-Strike sensitivity, but this is also what like Surefour, Logic's. It's a little higher than what Carpe and IDDQD use. And it's just, it's a lot easier to do, you know, this type of long-range stuff with, where you just have to move the mouse a lot more than with higher sensitivity, but it feels more accurate. And it feels a lot easier to do that, especially like flicking with. Feels like a lot easier to just get on targets with and acquire them and stay on them. From this range at least. But when you go up closer, it's like, you can do it, but you need to move the mouse. Like, see how much I'm moving the mouse to do this? You need to move the mouse a lot, and you need to move it a lot faster to stay on targets at close range, like this, than with a higher sensitivity. Which, you know, is obvious, because that's just how sensitivity works, I guess. But also, I feel like it's a lot easier to stay on a target's head with lower sensitivity, whereas with a higher sensitivity, I get more body shots, but I get them, like, faster and easier, I guess, than I would with a lower sensitivity. But, so, it's possible to use this low sensitivity, and I'm not exactly, like, a grandmaster or anything, so it's not like you don't need to be insanely good at aiming to use low sensitivity. It's just a thing that people do, you know. But I think you do need to be really good to use a sensitivity as low as Jonak or Rijie Hong use, which is this. This is about 77 centimeters per 360. Look at how slow this is. The entire breadth of my mousepad is 180 degrees of rotation. But you can, like, stay on people's heads all day with this mouse sensitivity. It's like, it's so easy to just, like, from this range, from longer range especially, you'll be on people's heads all day. You'll get, like, fucking such high accuracy, such high headshot accuracy with this sensitivity. And especially if you play like Ana or Zenyatta, where you're in the back line, so you don't necessarily need to, you know, aim at stuff close up all the time. This is a really good sensitivity to use, I think, because helps you be more accurate with your shots, and you don't necessarily, like, need to worry about having to do this, where he strafed the wrong way, but you need to move the mouse so much more when you're close up. It's like, it feels like frantic, like you're just moving it so much, so fast. But, you know, you can do it. It's just, it's really, really not easy to do. And one other thing is you need to, like, react to stuff really fast with this sensitivity so that you can stay on the targets. Like, you need to react to them strafing because you just move slower. Your mouse moves slower. And you need to counteract the fact that your mouse movement is slower with reacting to them moving faster, or you won't stay on them as easily. But, you know, the sensitivity is honestly, like, it's playable. It's not that bad. But it's just really... If you want to take the game, like, seriously and, you know, actually, like, frag out as Tracer or something, especially as, like, Genji, no way you're playing this sensitivity with Genji, like, seriously. You know, someone's done it before and probably played fucking better Genji than I ever have, but it's not easy. It's a struggle. But honestly, I use the sensitivity when I'm feeling lazy and I just don't want to have to worry about, you know, keeping my mouse, like, still and, like, just... I feel like it's a lot easier to track stuff at long range with the sensitivity, but it makes up for it in how, like, impossibly hard it feels to track stuff at close range with. So, yeah. But, basically, to 180 with the sensitivity, you need to pick up your mouse and move it across the mousepad. And you have to do that, like, on reaction sometimes. It's like, oh crap, soldiers ulting behind me. I have to pick up the mouse and just 180 like this instantly. And it's a hard thing to ingrain into your muscle memory. Especially if you've been using higher sensitivity for a long time. It's just not really obvious that you have to do that, because a lot of people might do this, which is really, really slow. Like, whereas this is just instant. It's like this, just, you know, it's inefficient, I guess. Like, theoretically, it's just one, you know, it's just one mouse pickup, but I feel like doing this is just so much easier and so much faster because you're just there in one swipe. But yeah. So anyways, that's my sort of like basic tutorial on using the mouse with low sensitivity and like why you'd use the lower sensitivity, as well as demonstrating, you know, different sensitivities and what's good about them. So yeah, hopefully that was a good video, and maybe someone will learn something from this, I don't know.